So starting this morning in a comfortable seat, and as we take this seat, notice for just a moment how probably not quiet things are inside of your head. If you're familiar with the Yoga Sutras and the 8 limbs of yoga, you'll know what I mean when I say this is a practice of Dhyana. And Dhyana is the word for meditation or quiet mind. So I'm choosing to not use music this morning and to invite you into a place of quietness. It's kind of hard to do that on command. It's actually taught that we can't make dhyana happen, the quiet mind happen. We get there through the practice of the limb before it, which is dharana, focus, concentration, and we give our mind something to do. So that's what we'll be doing this morning, is give our mind something to be interested in an effort to find quiet mind. So here, as we're seated, I'd like you to just notice how the human brain, the human mind is not very often quiet. And mine is always occupied with just little busy things. It's usually not big things that my mind is dwelling on, it's little things. So this practice will give us a tool to rise above the little things, the little obtrusive thoughts that disturb our still, quiet mind. And in doing that, we get better at rising above the little things, little nuances and bothersome things in our lives. So notice your breath. As we focus on breath, we can simply watch where breath enters our nose. Where is the very first pinpoint that breath comes into the body? Narrow it down to an even smaller opening. Imagine that you could watch the very first molecule of oxygen entering your nose. Does that happen in the front of your nostrils, more central, or close to your face? Where does breath enter? And where does breath leave? Is it different? The way the last molecule of carbon dioxide leaves your body with a breath, where does that happen? Start to deepen the breath, bringing in millions of molecules and letting millions go, a flood of exchange of gases. Let your breathing invite you to sit a little taller and to soften. And we'll start to create movement with that. Inhale, lengthen, let your chest expand, and then exhale, soften your chin toward your chest. Moving bigger with breath, seated cat and cow. So focusing on these tiny pinpoints of entry and exit, help our mind stay interested in what's happening here. Let's continue this action on all fours, cat and cow here. Continuing to notice the nuances, the little things about our breath and about our movement. So we're going to take the breath and the movement a little bit faster. Sometimes we have to kind of shake our own attention a bit. So let's inhale, exhale, exhale, and be careful. We don't want to really force or jar, but just make this movement faster and still soft. Take a deep breath in, come into cow. Exhale, widen the knees, touch your toes, and settle back into child's pose. Give yourself a pillow if you'd like, with a block or your hands. And just notice quietness. Look for quietness. In this quiet place, we are agenda-free. We're sensitive to what's happening now. There's a gentleness here and an opening to all possibilities. Interesting that in the quiet is the doorway to all possibilities. Let's come back into movement, continuing to observe breath coming and going through those tiny points. Extending the arms out, keeping knees wide. Inhale the body forward and come into a little stretch for the inner thighs, the belly, the chest, and the front of the shoulders. Knees are going to be wide here. And then exhale, push back again, child's pose. Move with your breath. So the branch of focus, concentration, Dharana, is translated by some teachers as intense listening to this experience. Intense listening to this experience. The next time we come back, we'll narrow the knees, tuck our toes, and we'll glide ourselves up into downward facing dog. Once you're here, pedal the heels, shift your weight around. Intense listening to this experience. So when we're doing that, we're better able to make choices based on what's happening in this moment in our body, what we feel, what is felt right here. What is your body saying right now? Intense listening to this experience. Let's take the slowest walk to the top of our mat. And we're going to do that, my friends, a few times. Planting the hands, walk back again. Walk with awareness, like literally you're walking your dog forward and back. And you might just notice that your hamstrings start to loosen up here in this slow walk the dog. The next time your feet find the top of the mat, nuzzle yourself down, touch your elbows, come into ragdoll. In this quietness, we are creating an environment for healing. The absence of the noise. This quiet mind is where healing can begin. Perhaps in this moment, you can bring to mind a focus on something that you would like to heal, an intention for healing. Come up to a flat back and then reach the arms all the way overhead. Come back to heart center, intense listening to this experience. Focus, Dharana. Today we're going to practice half salutations, and this is a nice, easy flow to follow with no weight on the hands. It's just 6 movements, 6 breaths. So we'll inhale, arms up. We'll exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms reach. And exhale, back to the heart. So that's 1 half salutation. Let's go again. Reach up. Start to make the H sound with your breath. Fold forward. Half lift. Fold. Reach high. Hands to heart. We'll go again, and this time that H sound happens with lips closed. Half lift. So continue these movements, and maybe there's another movement that feels good to your body. I'm just going to keep us in this pattern of movement. There's no way to do this wrong. As long as you're moving with your breath, you're focusing on your breath as a way to clear your mind of all else. Reach high. Bow low. Lift halfway. And fold. Reach high. Hands to heart. We're going to keep going. At the risk of your mind getting bored, focus on breath. Focus on movement. All of these movements have a purpose. The body is opening and lengthening. You might explore speeding up a little bit or slowing down to see if that holds your attention any better. Make the movements bigger, broader, wider, more exaggerated. We're going to do 3 more half salutations. Hopefully your body is getting warm and your mind is getting quiet. A moving meditation. And this is our last one. Move through with your breath. Bring your mind here. Intense listening to this experiment. The next time you find that forward fold, hands to mat, let's walk back to downward facing dog. Pause here to notice. Has anything changed, shifted in your body? Awareness here, intense listening to this. Lowering the knees to the mat. Pausing here in a tabletop position, spread your fingers wide. So we're going to create a different kind of flow, movement with breath. This is just 4 breaths. It's what we might call vinyasa, but we'll do this gentle and modified. So we'll shift forward into a kneeling plank, open up the shoulder blades. And then we're just going to melt our body to the floor, bending the elbows, hips come down, belly comes down, chin, and then forehead. And then we'll just roll up into a cobra. You could also choose up dog and back to child's pose. So starting a new moving meditation forward and just melting, rolling the shoulders, inhale, press back, exhale. You might have another variation that your body is asking you for. Maybe a little more heat, maybe a little more stillness. What are you noticing in this moving meditation? Is there quietness in the mind even when your body's working? Keep going at your pace. You do 3 more of these. This is a really nice way to warm up the shoulders gently, build heat. And like we never stop moving, there's a gentle flow. And then let's rest back in child's pose. Again, supporting yourself with any props or hands. Come into quiet mind. Giving our mind a rest from those old, repetitive mental habits. Redundant, recycled, unnecessary thoughts that just are on auto replay. Giving ourselves a break from the technology of our mind. When you feel ready, press up again to a tabletop position, and let's come into downward facing dog once again. So noticing heels toward the earth without any judgment, just noticing, are the heels close? Are they far? Just noticing. Let's walk the dog 2 more times. So this time really slow, finding that flat foot all the way up to the top of the mat. Lifting into a flat back and then stepping back again. Walk your dog 1 more time, forward and back. And just noticing the way that we just kind of criticize ourselves or judge ourselves. We think we're doing something wrong. Coming into down dog. Raising the right leg up. Let's bend our knee and open up through the hips. Wiggle the toes, circle the ankle. Just letting go of any competition with yourself, with someone else. This is your body. Switching sides. Opposite leg comes up, bend the knee, open up through your hips. Breathe, explore, and return. Downward facing dog. Lowering the knees to the mat and coming up into a kneeling position for camel. And we're going to do a flowing camel. So your toes can be pointed or tucked, hands on the hips. And we'll just start here by taking a deep breath in. One arm comes up by the ear and then switch. Just beginning to alternate, hands straight up. And then if your body invites a little more back bend, you could let that hand glide back a bit further, following the hand with your eyes. And if this is a yes for you, a green light, maybe a hand to the heel as the arm reaches, coming back to center each time. Just awareness here, intent listening to this experiment. experience. One more time, each arm. And then returning to neutral, hands to the mat, lifting the hips and coming up into a forward fold. Choosing any kind of forward fold here. So you could touch your elbows, you could stand on your hands, gorilla. You could wrap your arms around your legs. These thoughts that occupy our mind can lead to stress, dis-ease, discomfort, lack of joy in our life. This quiet mind opens all possibilities. Let's drop our hips and lift into chair pose. You're welcome to take your arms anywhere you like in chair pose. This is the last pose we'll do to build heat so that we can do some deeper stretching. Notice how your body's feeling now. The most advanced posture is the one that you're paying attention to. Let's let the hips sink a little bit lower. Bring the hands in front of the heart. The most advanced pose is the one where breath is hitting the bottom of your lungs. A challenge, if you like, come up on your toes. The most advanced pose is the one where we are in intense listening to this experience. Option, fly the arms behind you, drinking bird. Intense listening. Breath in the bottom of the lungs. Releasing our feet. Sweep the arms up, take a deep breath in. And then exhale, hands to heart. Pause here for a moment in mountain pose on the other side of chair. What's here to be noticed? Is there quietness here? Reach the arms high. Swan dive, forward fold. Is there gentleness here? Let's keep our right foot where it is and step our left foot back, coming into low lunge. As we start to move into these hip flexors, let's notice, let's have a sensitivity, an awareness about sensation. So tapping the knee to the floor and lifting. Tapping and lifting. Most advanced pose is a pose where we find quiet mind. Let's drop the back heel and slow motion float up into warrior one. Rooting down through that back heel, cactus the arms, opening the chest. Let the arms come up high. And on an exhale, hands to heart center. Let's keep the back heel on the ground and shift our bodies forward for a twisting warrior. And that's going to feel a little more restricted or restrained than a twisting lunge. You're probably going to feel something in that back calf, outer ankle. If this is not working for you, untwist and come back to center for a twist maybe that's a little higher. Intense listening to this. And returning to center, reach your arms high, deep breath, warrior one. And then exhale, hands to mat, back foot steps front foot steps back, low lunge. Opposite side, hip flexor. Let's tap and lift. Listen carefully. Your body is talking to you. Can you listen? Can you honor? Dropping the back heel, rising up to warrior one, and cactusing the arms. Honoring what you're feeling right here. Intense listening to this breath, body sensations. Hands at heart center, shifting forward and finding your expression of twisting warrior. Back heel stays down, torso long. If you're stable here, close your eyes. Yeah, experiencing this just as it is. Coming back to center, sweeping the arms up again. Warrior one, nice deep breath in. And then exhale, hands to mat. Let's find our way into downward facing dog. Checking in again, heels toward the earth. Notice the backs of your knees, the level of bend without any judgment, noticing. Notice hips, lower back, shoulders, and notice wrist. Let's raise the right leg up in the air, and on the exhale, we'll step forward, dropping the back heel again, sweeping up to warrior one. Opening out to warrior two. Take this nice wide stance of warrior two, and we'll create a little flow here. So turning the palms, inhale, lift, touch the fingertips. Exhale, look over your right hand, warrior two. Turn the palms, inhale, lift. Exhale, over. Inhale, lift. We'll keep that front leg straight as we take the arms out into a T and then shifting into triangle pose. In triangle pose, you can look up, side or down. Can you come in and experience this? Maybe it's bringing attention back to that pinpoint where air enters, where air leaves. Maybe it's breath hitting the bottom of your lungs, or one part of the body that can keep your attention. For a little extra sensation, let the arm reach over your head, extended triangle, Utthita Trikonasana. Breathe, feel, intense listening to this. And then we'll put a bend in our knees and backwards windmill the arms, reverse warrior. Awesome. Hands to mat, downward facing dog. You always have the option to take a vinyasa or stay in place. Come into child's pose. Notice the right side of your body, notice the left. And when you're ready, let's raise the left leg. Exhale, stepping forward. The foot comes to the top of the mat. Dropping our back heel, rising up. And then we'll open out warrior two. Once you find your good foundation here, movement with breath, the palms turn up, straighten the left leg. Inhale, fingers touch. Exhale, warrior two. Moving with breath. This time the legs stay straight. Tee up the arms, shift the hips toward the back heel, and come into triangle pose. Pause here. Quietness. And placing a bend in our front knee, inhale, reverse warrior. And then windmill to the ground, downward facing dog. Your choice, stay or flow. Let's raise the right leg up in the air and we're coming into pigeon. I think we should be warm enough for this now. So shifting the body forward, draw the right knee to the right wrist. Wiggle your left toes back so that that left kneecap is reaching backwards. Make sure there's no point of pain in the front knee. Lift and lengthen. And then exhale to softly lower down. You can be on elbows or all the way down, resting your head on a block or your hands. Find your breath. I'm going to leave us here for some quietness, some quiet mind, some intense listening to this experience. Take one more deep breath in. Notice what you're feeling right now. Your body is talking to you. What is it saying? On the exhale, begin to release this posture. Hands coming up underneath. And lifting as tall as you can without any pain in your back. Either staying here to stretch this hip flexor, or if you'd like a little deeper stretch, bending that back knee. And for a little more, left hand is down, right hand reaches back towards that ankle. No judgment, no competition, just experiencing this. When we choose another sensation, we're just heightening our experience. It's not more advanced, just something to notice. Let's release, bringing the hand to the earth, tucking the back toes, and we'll sweep that leg up and give it a nice big shake. And when you're ready, second side, left leg lifts and draws through left knee to left wrist. Scoot that right kneecap backwards as far as you can. No sharp pain in the left knee. And then lift and lower. Find your pigeon on the second side. I think you know by now if pigeon is not a good idea for your knee, you could come to seated, figure 4. Same stretch, less stress on the knee. I'm just closing eyes here, finding a few moments of quiet, intense listening to this experience. Take one more deep breath in, filling up as much as you can. Your body is talking to you. Listen intently. As we exhale, let's release the hands to the mat. Come to as tall a spine as you can without any pain in your low back. Either staying here or lifting the knee with the option to reach the left hand back toward the foot, the ankle. Intense listening to this experience. Let's release, tucking the toes, slow motion, lift that leg and give it a nice big shake. Coming into downward facing dog. Let's drop our knees to the mat and find our way around into a seat. I'm going to take our legs straight out in front of us and we'll move into a seated twist first. So crossing the right knee over the left. Pause here for just a moment to feel the sitting bones grounding beneath you, to hold the knee and lift the spine up straight. And then moving in a gentle way, you can keep the left hand on the right knee. The right arm sweeps up and windmills behind. That's our second spine now. Nice little lift. Either keeping the hand on the knee or maybe hugging the knee. And if you have some flesh here, you could reach your hand down and just move the belly flesh so there's a little deeper twisting sensation. Once you find your twist, close your eyes. Turn your head to look over your back shoulder. Pull the toes of the left foot back towards you. There are about 1,000 points to pay attention to in this pose. A flexed foot, a bent knee, a stretching hip, a twisting spine, a shoulder stretch. Where will you park your attention? It's like driving your car around a parking lot and there are so many open spaces and we just pass them by. We keep driving, we keep looking. Park the car, pause here, notice. We'll return back to center, inviting that foot inside the knee and the knee drops open. So like this. We'll take a one-legged forward fold, Janu Shirshasana. So taking a deep breath, arms reaching high, and then exhale over the left leg. Lengthen, you can use a strap here if that feels helpful. Breathe out all the air. Being a big fan of anatomy gives my mind so many things to pay attention to in a yoga pose. This abundant physicality that we live in. There's so much here to notice, to celebrate and explore. Where does your body feel this shape? Give that your attention. And we'll slowly bring ourselves back up to a tall spine, extending that right leg out. Give your legs a little bit of a shake, and we'll switch the twist. Left leg comes up and over. Before we go anywhere, wiggle around, get right on top of those sitting bones, grasp the knee just below the knee, and then sit tall. Force our spine up into long, tall length. And then holding that knee with the right hand, let's scoop the left arm up and around. Finding that second spine. And then beginning the rotation. You can keep your hand here, you can use an elbow. If you have that kind of belly flesh in the way, move it, pull it out, give yourself some space, uncross, do whatever you need to do to feel space here. Maybe the two sides feel different. Breath here. And close your eyes, head turns backwards. A 1,000 parking spaces. Choose one, move in, and pay attention. Your body is talking to you. Intense listening to this experience. Unwinding back to center, releasing that knee out for Janu Shirshasana. Take a deep breath in, reach, and draw your torso forward. Strap or hands, whatever you can find to feel length and space. Find one place in your body where you feel sensation and dive in there. Get curious about that. Can you move breath to that space? Does that sensation expand when you take a deep breath and contract when you exhale? You can become fascinated with this abundant physicality that we live in. Slowly releasing this posture. Let's extend our legs out, give them a little shake. And then bending the knees, holding behind, let's lower ourselves down onto our backs. And once we get there, one knee in each hand, moving the knees separately, wide and narrow, corner to corner, maybe egg beaters. Exploring what's happening in your low back, sacrum, SI joint. And I'm going to invite us into a couple of different variations of Ananda Balasana today. Happy baby. We're going to hold behind the knees and just gently pull down on the backs of the legs. And as we do this, let the tailbone start to reach toward the floor. And this might be where we stay, moving around side to side. If you'd like to go further, reach up, take a hold of ankles or the bottoms of the feet. Some people like to hold their big toes in this pose. Find a grip somewhere between your thighs and your toes. And then pull the legs down, pressing your tailbone down. And just for fun today, you might extend both legs out wide. Eyes closed, movement or stillness. Breathing and noticing here the sensations in the body. If your legs are extended, bend the knees again, give a gentle pull down. And the knees come into the chest, legs up the wall. So the pretend wall or the real wall, your choice. You could place something under your hips for waterfall. We're going to stay here for 1 minute, just counting our breaths perhaps. Quiet mind here in inversion for 1 minute. And slowly releasing, legs up, bending the knees one more time. Give yourself a hug, a gesture of self-love and gratitude. And then begin to extend your legs out to the corners of your mat. Move around so that your hips feel even on the floor, your calves feel even, your heels wiggle so that your shoulders feel evenly planted, and then extend your arms to a comfortable place. And eyes closed or soft. Let's return to that exploration of the very point breath enters your body and the very point breath leaves your body. I invite you to be here in the quietness again for a couple of minutes, strengthening the ability of the mind to be quiet by giving it one thing to focus on. Take another moment to notice quietness. Inside of this bubble of quiet, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Begin to stretch gently and roll to one side. And when you're ready, return to a seat and let your hands come together in front of your heart in this gesture of gratitude. Dropping our chin slightly and just shifting our gaze over the tips of our fingers. Just acknowledging anything maybe that we've observed or learned in this practice. Maybe choosing one thing that showed up for us today to take off of our mats and out into our lives. I'm hoping this practice of quieting the mind through intense listening and focus helps you rise above the little annoyances of your day to a place of all possibilities. Namaste.